Meanwhile, let's bring in Texas GOP Senator Ted Cruz, member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. He's going to be questioning this guy named James Comey today, and author of a brand new book out yesterday, One Vote Away, How a Single Supreme Court Seat Can Change History. And we want to talk about that because it relates to the news. But first, Senator, you were considered by Alan Dershowitz his finest, one of his finest students and one of the great debaters in college. And you did a real good job, strong job with the president. How do you think the president did last night? How do you think Joe Biden did last night?
Well, I thought it was a raucous debate. You know, it kind of reminded me of Detroit Pistons basketball in the 90s, where there were a lot of hard fouls, there were a lot of missed shots. But at the end of the day, I doubt the debate changed the election in any fundamental way. I think if you started the debate with Trump, you're still with him. If you started the debate with Biden, you're still with them. They both had good moments. I think the president's strongest moment was actually, you played that clip just a minute ago, was when he made the point on the shutdown, that Joe Biden wants to shut down the economy, shut down small businesses, take away people's jobs, shut down schools, and President Trump is fighting to open up the economy and get people back to work. I think that was a very good moment, and Biden didn't have a very good response to that.
Well, you've got the brand new book about the Supreme Court, and, you know, Chris Wallace asked Joe Biden a question that he has refused to answer thus far. We all figured that last night would be the night we would finally get an answer. It's just a yes or no answer. Did we get it? Let's watch. Will he pack the court?
Willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court.
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now.
Are you going to pack the court?
Make sure you, in fact, let people know you're a senator. I'm not going to answer the question.
Why wouldn't you answer that
because
question?
the question is, the question is,
Justice, radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe? Who's on your list?
Right. Gentlemen, I think
this is so unprecedented.
He's going to pack the court. I'm not going to give a list.
And, Senator, ultimately, he was in a pickle, because if he said, I'm going to pack the court, he's going to make his left wing very happy. But at the same time, if he says, I won't pack the court, he's going to anger them.
Well, listen, his answer to both of those questions is hell yes, and he's just afraid to tell the voters, so he's trying to hide. If the Democrats take power, if you have Biden, Schumer, and Pelosi, within the first couple of weeks, they'll end the filibuster. That is 100%. I serve with these Democrats. That's what they're ready to do, and Biden will enthusiastically cheer them on. On packing the court, if they get power, they will try to pack the court. Their base demands it. And the reason Joe is doing those gymnastics is that he doesn't want to admit it to the voters who recognize packing the court is really extreme. You know, we had another Democratic president, FDR, try to do that, and his own party bucked him and said, no, we're not going to do that. The difference is today's Democrats aren't prepared to stand up to the left wing and say no. And, you know, this issue goes really to what I think is the most important issue in this election, which is the Supreme Court and the Constitution and Bill of Rights. It's why I've written this book, One Vote Away, and it focuses on the major constitutional issues that are before the court. Each chapter is a different Bill of Rights, is a different fundamental liberty. So there's a chapter on free speech, a chapter on the Second Amendment, a chapter on religious liberty, and it tells war stories from the inside. Before I was in the Senate, I was a Supreme Court litigator, so I try to bring readers inside to understand what's going on at the court. And issue after issue, the big landmark cases, many of which I helped argue, were decided 5-4. We're one vote away from losing those key liberties. And this book is really designed to explain it. You don't have to be a lawyer, but just to explain what's going on in the fight at the Supreme Court, what's going on in the presidential election, and what's going on in the gladiatorial battle we have right now, confirming Judge Barrett.
Yeah, we had Tom Cotton, Senator Cotton, on earlier, and he said that it's so important, like you did. He said it could take away religious freedoms. It could take away your gun rights. It could allow abortion at 9 months. He said that's why the Supreme Court is so important. I know you met with Judge Amy Coney Barrett. You were one of the Republican senators that agreed to meet with her ahead of the confirmation hearings. What was that meeting like? What happened?
So it was a very good meeting. I met with Judge Barrett yesterday for about 45 minutes at the Capitol. She's very impressive, very serious. Her academic credentials are impeccable. She was #1 in her class at Notre Dame Law School. She was a law clerk to the great Justice Antonin Scalia. She spent 20 years as a law professor at Notre Dame. She's one of the most respected federal appellate judges in the country. And incredibly enough, she manages to do all of that and at the same time be a mom to 7 kids, which I can't even imagine how you do the last item, much less everything else she does at the same time. And I thought she was really strong. I was in particular impressed with her demeanor. I mean, the Democrats are attacking her. They've already signaled they're going to try to turn this into a circus like they did with Brett Kavanaugh. And she has a calm and a seriousness that I think is going to get her through this and serve her well and the country well when she is on the court.
It would be a huge political mistake for them to do that, but let's see what happens. It's never stopped them before. I read the summary of your book, and I've been listening to it. It's something even I can understand, and I'm not a lawyer, so congratulations on that. So the other big issue that a lot of Americans concerned on, and should be on both sides of the aisle, are these mail-in ballots. Not if you request it, but if you don't. Here's the moment in the debate that really ended the debate. Watch.
There are going to be millions of people because of COVID that are going to be voting by mail-in ballots, like he does, by the way.
This is a horrible thing for our country.
There is no.
This is not.
There is no.
This is not going to end well.
There is no evidence
This is
of that.
not going to end well.
He's just afraid of counting the votes because he knows the outcome.
You're wrong.
I want to continue.
Senator, people are worried about our democracy if we don't accept the verdict in an election. But I'm just worried about getting the right result on the election first. How do you solve this problem? Because it's I didn't ask for this ballot problem as opposed to the absentee ballot issue. When you request it, you have an address and you do things right. How do we solve this?
Well, it's an enormous problem. It's going to inject massive uncertainty into the election. It's going to inject the potential for delay. And what we've seen is blue jurisdictions where the Democrats control them, have shifted to overwhelming mail ballots, which increase the risks of fraud. They increase the ability for Democratic operatives to steal votes. I think the president did a good job of highlighting that, and Joe Biden had no real response to that. And there's an enormous risk of this going to litigation. You know, one of the chapters in my book, One Vote Away, is on Bush versus Gore. I was part of the legal team representing George W. Bush and was down in Tallahassee. That for 36 days we had utter chaos. We didn't know who had won. We went to the U.S. Supreme Court twice in Bush versus Gore. The first time we won unanimously. The second time the court ruled 5-4. Enough is enough. It's over. The ballots have been counted 4 times. Bush has won all 4. And we need finality under the law. It's over. 36 days, no one knew who the president was. This year, we've got a risk that this could last much, much longer. And it's one of the reasons why it's so important for the Senate to confirm Judge Barrett before Election Day. I believe we will do that. Because if we don't confirm her before Election Day, we would have an 8-justice court, which could divide 4-4, and a 4-4 court can't decide anything. That would create a constitutional crisis. We have a responsibility to make sure there's a functioning 9-justice Supreme Court that can resolve any election disputes and try to get through the chaos and uncertainty that we may see in this election.
There certainly could be the case. You are going to sit down at your desk there in the Senate, and you're going to have in front of you James Comey later today. What is the one question you want to ask him, and what do you want to hear him say?
Well, I'm not going to preview the exact questions I'm going to ask, but I will say this. James Comey was part of and a leader of the deep politicization of the FBI and the Department of Justice and Intelligence under Barack Obama and Joe Biden. It's one of the most shameful legacies. You know, we just had yesterday declassified documents that show in July of 2016, in the middle of the presidential campaign, the Hillary Clinton campaign personally signed off on a scheme to try to blame the president, or then just Donald Trump, the businessman, for Russia collusion. And it was Hillary Clinton who personally signed off. Barack Obama was directly briefed on it. And James Comey was right at the middle of turning DOJ and the FBI into an oppo research and attack dog for the Democrats. And there's been no accountability yet. People need to be held accountable, and those who abused the power and broke the law need to be prosecuted. And so I hope we get some real accountability. Yeah. Comey was also right in the center of targeting General Michael Flynn, which was a disgraceful episode.
Still going on.
And he played a pivotal part.
All right.
All right. Senator, thank you so much for joining us.
One quick thing, by the way, Steve, congrats on your cookbook, which is #1 on Amazon bestsellers. And you and I are both on the top 10. I'm not #1, but let me encourage your viewers, bundle them together. So buy Steve's cookbook and buy One Vote Away together and make a good combination. Have a great meal and understand what's going on at the Supreme Court at the same time.
They're
It's
both
so timely.
hot. We know that.
Yeah, did you write this quickly, or had you been working on this? I mean, it just so happens that we're talking about this in the news right now.
So I wrote it this spring and summer, right on COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
I was in my living room with my laptop, and obviously didn't know we'd have a vacancy now, but I knew the election was coming up in November, and it was going to be a huge election issue.
Right.
And then the timing.
Okay.
Once the vacancy happened, we were actually supposed to have the book come out next week, but we moved it forward because it is
Smart.
so relevant to what's happening right now.
Go get him, Senator. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We need to go to commercial break because Steve's got to answer his phone.